Hello, and welcome to the Agile CFO Leadership Forum, FP&A Strategies for Success. My name is Nick with Agile, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. I have some important information to share with you, and then we'll turn the floor over to our esteemed opening keynote speaker. We also welcome you to stay socially connected during today's event. For those of you who are active tweeters, please use the hashtag ArgyleDigital and follow us on Twitter at ArgyleExecForum. Also, be sure to follow Agile or on LinkedIn for special announcements. I would like to take a moment to touch on our content neutrality policy, which we have curated based on the feedback we have received over the years from our members. We have worked closely with our speaking faculty to ensure that you receive a set of balanced and neutral viewpoints during the session today, and we appreciate our members' support of this policy. Finally, and most importantly, we want to hear from you. So during each session, we encourage you to submit your questions and comments in the Q&A box on your screen. Following each presentation, we have set aside time for our speakers to weigh in on your questions. Thank you again for joining us today. Now, let's get started. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Carolina Vera, Vice President, Community and Corporate Partnerships, CareMax Inc. We are excited to have Carolina for her opening keynote presentation titled The Pillars of Agile FP&A. Welcome, Carolina. Over to you.
Thank you, Nicholas, and thank you for that presentation, introduction, and that voice of yours. It's it puts us in the mood, right? Hi, everybody. My name is Carolina Vera. I am, as Nicholas mentioned, the VP of Community and Corporate Partnerships for CareMax. I'm excited to be here. I'm connecting from sunny Miami, so I apologize for those who are not here in Miami and the weather is not working out today, but hang in there. It's almost spring. Don't forget to send your questions. We try to make this very interactive, and don't forget about the prizes. I'm excited about those prizes. Hopefully I get one of those too. But more than anything, I wanted to speak really quickly about CareMax, because typically I go full blow into let's talk about the topic, and I forget that I'm part of the CareMax family. So I wanted to give you just a little bit of information around CareMax. We're driven by the mission to deliver the best in class care. So we are a value-based healthcare organization, healthcare delivery system that has a technology platform, and we focus on primary care services and specialty services for underrepresented communities and people who are 65 and over. Our mission is to empower care teams, high quality, compassionate care. We're trying to transform healthcare nationwide. We have about 60 medical centers, close to 250,000 patients, we're in 10 states, and we empower providers to provide, then again, the best in-class care. And we use that whole person health approach. So anything from primary care, wellness, fitness, virtual care. If you're ever in need, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll be contacting you to provide services for your family. Visit our impact site. Please visit that, because I put together that report. It takes a lot of time, and I appreciate all the feedback if you're willing to share. So let's move right on. Happy to talk about the transformation of the finance function. And I wanted to make a quick intro here to the new normal, right? We are always connected to technology. Technology always plays a role in what we do. But more than anything now, it's this new normal where we have to be 3 steps away from, 3 steps ahead. It has to be timely, it has to be relevant. Everything that we do has to be sustainable. We have to start thinking about the radical transformation of the finance function. So the new normal is asking us to be more engaged, to be more connected, but to also produce information fast and change, be adaptable. So I wanted to share a little bit of all those words that have become second nature to the finance function: agile, technology, talent. More than anything, I want to talk to you about innovation and execution. There's a lot of focus on speed of change. Things are changing rapidly. Obviously, COVID-19 accelerated that change. Everybody was at home and they didn't have a lot of things to do, I guess. And technology just, hey, it changed everything. It became disruptive. So now new business models are being created. And that means the finance function, usually we suffer the consequences, good or bad. We have to be adaptable. We have to change with the times. That also means more room for new thinking, new ways of doing things, more communication, being more open to feedback. All of those elements now play in the role of execution. We can't be any longer afraid of change, because change is part of the new way of doing business. And I also want to mention and give a quick example here about globalization. It's a real great topic for me to talk about, because it does require much more risk, much more demand, but it also requires new ways of thinking, right? It also demands that to be adaptable, as we've been talking about that. But more, the example that I wanted to bring out is China. Obviously, during the COVID-19, we were so focused on, before COVID-19, we were so focused on agile production of services, of things that we would need, of products. We would always rely on China as our provider for fast and cheap products. With COVID-19, I don't know if your industry suffered from the disruption in the market and the supply chain. My guess is yes. In my case, with CareMax, we had to look for supplies, for medical supplies. We needed tests, we needed face masks, we needed the covers for the face, the full cover. I don't know if you remember those plastic covers, and we couldn't find that anywhere. I had to make calls to other countries in Latin America and in Mexico, everywhere, and nothing was happening. And obviously, if I was trying to contact other organizations, other companies, other countries, they were going through the same change, because we were all relying on this one provider. So that also opened up ideas about what to do. And now we're thinking about producing more regional base. But that also demands that change, right? The adaptability that we're talking about. Now we're thinking about more around the geolocations. Who are we going to do business with? And all of these decision-making processes rely on the expertise from the financial teams, right? From us, to say, okay, this is convenient, this is not. Yes, we have to talk to operations, we have to talk to the other departments, but it does come down to, what does finance think? What's the bottom line? How is it going to be affected? How is it going to be impacted? So let's keep in mind that globalization is also part of this, the decision-making process, and that change that we're talking about, and talent. I'm sure that there's many organizations out there who are looking for talent desperately, and it's becoming a little bit of a challenge to find not only the right talent, qualified talent, but also retaining talent, keeping our team members happy, keeping our team members engaged. They're asking for more. Now it's a partnership between the team member and the company. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold, so forgive me if I start coughing or something. And I'm reading the questions, and as I go, if I can interject, I will stop and look at the question and answer the question. But what I was saying is, we have more difficulties and more challenges about the talent pool, the people who are available to be part of our teams. And they're also requiring for us to become new partners. So think about mental health. Think about, what are you doing around flexibility? What additional benefits are you giving to me? What are we doing around professional development? And all of these, as you all know, has a cost associated to that and has an impact on the bottom line. But not only that, Are we willing to invest in that talent? Do you want your company to invest in you as these changes are happening around you? All of these are questions around talent that you not only need to incorporate into your decision-making process, but also think about yourself, right? What do I want from the company that I'm with, and what do I need to ask for? Just the way that you think many in your team and many in other teams in other areas are going to be thinking about and are going to require that to be taken into account as well. Another piece, sorry, no, another big piece of another important task here in this change, in this rapid change, is data. We either need data, we collect data, we ask for data, we require data, but the idea is that we use technology to understand the data, to do the things that are manual, that will take us hours, prepare the reports, prepare the financial statements, and we use that time to analyze the information and to be better prepared to focus on our decision-making process. All these changes are asking from the finance team and the finance leaders to be proactive about understanding the whole company, the whole organization, and what's happening around us, and how sort of foresee the future in a way, how to be prepared for what's coming. We know that things like climate change is here to stay, so we're going to be exposed to, say, for example, here in Florida, we know we have hurricanes. So how do we prepare for those that we know are going to happen on a consistent basis? Pandemics, I know that COVID-19 was new and out of the ordinary, but it's becoming more ordinary than not. Before, we used to have a line in our financial statements that we'll have some insurance and some padding there for whatever, for the what ifs. Well, those what ifs are becoming more and more important. So with data, with the information that we have, with the reports, with the technology, we're able to be better prepared for that. But that comes also from us, from what we think, what we can foresee, what our expectations are, what we're thinking we can do. But we need to use all these resources to the best of our abilities, to the best of our advantage. Not be afraid of the data, not be afraid of the change, not be afraid of the transformation. It's more about how can we do it to become better people, to become better professionals, to become better leaders. I wanted to highlight that because I've heard from so many, especially finance executives, about, well, I'm in my box and I do this, and I know that I have these deadlines on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, and that's what I feel comfortable with. The problem is, or the challenge here is, that this new way of doing business, this new era, this new normal is asking from us more, right? And it's asking from us to be better prepared, to become more in tune with the rapid change. And I think there is a way. It's just being able to understand it better, to learn from it, instead of stepping away and trying to run away from the change. So there's increased expectations for the finance team. There's requirements from the board. They want all the value they can get, but they want it in this control risk framework, which I know it's challenging. Investors, they want predictable and sustainable growth. And I want to emphasize in sustainable, just because, and here I'm sort of talking about sustainability, but I'm also talking about that consistent growth. We have to move from that mentality of growth only represents year over year, 10%, 20%, 50%, that type of growth, that it's very exponential. And it's more about what type of growth do I want to see that it's going to be less impactful for society. It's not going to require the use of waste, or it's not going to produce so much waste, but it's also going to bring good things to your communities. It's going to bring great things for the advancement of your teams, for the advancement of people. So that type of growth is the one that I'm hoping that more and more professionals and finance professionals get in tune with. It's not only the information, the numbers, the revenue component, the number that we get at the end of the financials. It's more about that whole that whole person approach. How many lives are we impacting? What are we doing to improve society? That also plays a role in our financial statements. That's the new way of thinking. Regulators are changing laws, I'm sure that you've been exposed to that in your industry. There's new laws happening. In our case, for example, we work a lot with CMS, and they are heavily focused this year on health equity. And that requires not only a new way of doing things for us, a new way of presenting reports, but now we have to look for requesting data from our customers, our patients, that we were not requesting before. And then thinking in a different way that we probably were not thinking of before. And now we are part of that process of developing the report. What's going to be needed starts with us. So it's a great position to be in, where you can be part of that decision making. You can be part of the recommendations that you're making, but it also requires a lot of work, right? And a lot of time dedicated to something that you did not expect or you had not planned for. But this is happening quite a bit. Many organizations are going to be exposed to regulation for their own industry from the different agencies related to climate. There's going to be impact there. There's ESG requirements for different industries and different companies that you probably were not collecting data for before, and now you have to think about, okay, what's coming? And those changes are happening around us in a fast way, and we need to allocate time for this. And also teams, right? The teams are asking for more information. They also want to be part of the decision making. They also want to be part of the mission and the vision of the organization in an active way. They also want to be part of a community, and the community, it can be found within the organization. So and I know it's a lot of things to think about, but the new finance leaders, I do see them as the CEO of the different departments or their department, but they have an impact on the other departments as well. So it's more of whole person approach applied to the finance world. So as I mentioned, the new role of finance, it's becoming a better partner to both internal and external teams. And when I mean internal and external, obviously the people that you lead, the people within your teams, but also the people outside of the finance team, marketing, sales, rolling up your sleeves and going into the operations side and understanding how that works, and then having a time for coffee or a chat with those departments and understanding and asking questions. Why do you do things a certain way? I want to understand better. Then moving on to sales team, marketing team, understanding what their challenges are. You truly become that, and I don't think project manager is the right term, and that's why I call it partner, but you have to ask those questions. You have to understand that process. You have to be part of their day-to-day, not every day, but what I mean is to go one day and understand how their day-to-day functions, to be better equipped to be that person of support to those other teams. I think that's what's going to differentiate us from all other finance professionals, right? The ones that are prepared, the ones that are attending this type of conferences, this type of conversations, because now we start thinking as to, okay, what do I have? What values or what do I have in my own system, in everything that I've learned throughout these years that I can better utilize and that I can use to my own advantage as the professional that I am, as the leader that I am, to not only bring change and add value to the organization, but also feel fulfilled, right? That's part of what we all want to do. And I wanted to use this example of the auto industry. It's very interesting what is happening here. Before, it was all about manufacturing cars. Okay, the numbers it come down to sales. So the more cars you sell, the better position you're in. But now, in the future, you'll see more and more families relying on just one car, no longer the 2, 3 cars, 4 cars that we're used to, especially here in the US. It's more about having one car and using Uber, using Lyft, using all those applications. And even you not only using, but your family members, the people around you. But so now the auto industry is aware of that change. They can see the trends. So what to do? How do we keep generating the revenue that we need to generate? Well, now you have to be part of that. You have to be able to not only manufacture cars, but also provide the service, right? Access to transportation. So it's a different, it's a little bit of a big change, but now you have to be able to, if you have subscriptions, you're not getting the bulk, that the thousands and thousands of dollars for a car. Now you have to think about micropayments, right? Now you have to think about how to collect that, how to track it, what system you're going to use for that, because it's not going to be the same system that you've been using for a greater scale of payments. So all of that also plays a role in, and I think this one it's a great example of how you are, as things change around us, our role also changes, because now you have to not only see how you collect those payments, but how do you report those payments? How do you make sure that the data is up to date, fast and furious, right? Ready for anyone to have access to and to understand where do they need to improve, how to make the change. The data and that analysis and the technology that we can use to produce those statements or those reports that we need are going to benefit us in the decision-making process. So this is the question: how are organizations planning for those potential economic downturns? And I like the color for I like the yellow. It popped. So how are we preparing for this? Well, that comes down to flexibility and adaptability. Being flexible enough, being able to bend the rules a little bit of what we think should be the process, being more aligned with your teams, understanding how they see things, how your customer sees things. This is where, when I think of this, particularly flexibility, adaptability, the new businesses, the new companies being established, I feel that they are more in tune with this because that's how their business was developed, right? They started with the idea of, okay, what's my why? Why do I want to provide this service? Who am I going to focus on? It's a very community-based wise. There's a lot of social entrepreneurs out there that are doing great things because they start with the end result and the impact, and then they develop everything around them. But all businesses, or the other businesses, they started with more of the how much money can I make, how much revenue I can produce, which wasn't wrong for that time. It was the right, everybody was thinking that way. It was a capitalist mentality. But now, as times change, now we have to think about the impact on Earth, on the planet, the impact on society, the impact on our teams, the impact on our customers. Are they going to see this okay? How are they going to adapt? So it's now we have to start thinking about how do we incorporate that way of thinking into our business model, because we cannot just let go of the companies that we have built, right? They have to just adapt. They have to change. They cannot change the whole system like this, but they can start implementing little things in little areas, in small bites, and see how that change plays a role in in the organization as a whole. So let me go back to the pillars, because that is the fast and furious component of this conversation. Fast and furious because I know there's a lot to understand. There's a lot there's a lot of change, and there's a lot of 5 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna go rapidly through this. So we have technology, we have talent, partnerships, and sustainability. For me, right? I know that you're all probably going to agree with technology and talent. I don't know about partnerships and especially sustainability, but technology, let's use the technology to become better at what we do. Let's use the technology to do the mundane, and we focus on high skill areas that we're good at. The talent, we need those individuals to support us, but also let's bring talent that it's diverse, that has innovation as part of their core. When you bring people, and when I mean diversity, it's even diverse. You know, they probably not in the finance world, but they were in marketing, they were in sales, from other areas within your organization that can bring something different to the table, to your decision making, that can support you in the way that you need to be supported. Partnerships, let's align with internal and external teams, other partners, other corporations. They may know a thing or two, and they can do or provide something that you're looking for. And sustainability, because it's here to stay. ESG, all those words that you're listening, that you're hearing about, it's not going anywhere. We do have to try to all work together, even if it's a little bit, to support the planet and to make it good for everyone, for the communities, for our teams, for us. And the last thing that I wanted to say here is let's connect. Share my information there, carolina.veida@caremax.com. Also my LinkedIn profile, let's connect. I also have a website if you're interested, but the first two are the best way to connect. So Nicholas, I know that I didn't go through the questions, so we can go through the questions now. But thank you so much.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Carolina. That was an excellent keynote. I also want to thank everyone else for joining us today. And you continue to put more questions in the chat function, and we'll get to them when we can. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. Thanks again, and have a great day.